Sorry, everybody. We're talking about Taylor Swift.
Who?
Some girl from Pennsylvania.
Hendersonville, you mean?
No, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
With the
Okay.
eagle shirt hanging on the door.
Well, guys, we'll get to all this talk later. For just joining us, it is Today in Travel. We come to you every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, and we bring you all types of travel news. Today, it's pretty airline heavy. So we're going to talk a lot of airline news. But guys, we talk about whatever's in the news. So lots of things to talk about. Guys, I'm Jason Poole, travel advisor with Cruise Planners. Love talking about travel. Guys, and I love airline news, right? Like I'm an airline geek. I love talking about routes and lounges. That's what we're discussing. No one knows more about this stuff than my co-host. Introduce yourself. Let people know who you are.
That or maybe our other admin, Ken Jarvis. But my name is Haley. I own Hospitality with a Flair, which is a hotel sales support company. Been in hotels for almost 20 years, write a travel blog. Love going all over. And of course, enjoying a nice glass of champagne in an airport lounge, especially with my co-host whenever that randomly happens, like that one time.
We've done it. We've met at JFK before. It has happened. Well, guys, we have some great news today. Let's jump right in. People are always asking me, where can I renew my passport? How do I do it faster? Good news. The State Department has announced they're adding 6 new passport offices in the country. So they are Salt Lake, Kansas City, Orlando, Charlotte, San Antonio, and Cincinnati. Now, Haley, why would somebody need a local passport office?
So we did talk about, I believe it was last week, how you can start renewing these online in the future. But myself having to do something similar, I had to do a little in-person situation because I also changed my name when I got married. Intricacies with my child, her dad. I'm obviously not with him. Like there are little intricacies that require an in-person visit.
Agreed. And in-person visits are also good if you need an emergency. You've lost your passport and you're traveling soon. They can expedite it. They can print them there. So you're going to pay more to get it.
You're going to pay a pretty penny. We have one out here in Buffalo, obviously, because of the border right there.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay, cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My favorite passport story, this was years ago. People were going to Cuba. I had a client who needed long story short, booked him a trip to Cuba. He calls me a day or two before and goes, "Oh, my passport's expired. What do I do?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." He knew the senator from our state and called the senator's office and got a passport the same day. So if you don't know a senator and you live in one of these cities, these are why these offices are there, to expedite such needs.
Yes, for intricacies and expediting things. I know somebody that was actually supposed to go to Cancun or the DR, and they literally realized that day that one of the passports in the family was expired, so they had to move their flight to the next day, head out to Buffalo. Like, it was wild.
I feel like I check my passport expiration date a million times.
Well, that you never know. Like, for example, when we went to Europe in the spring with family, first time to Europe, we're sitting on the plane. So keep in mind, we went over the border. We flew out of Toronto, which is about 2.5 hours from me. Got through Toronto, got through security, border, all this. The family is sitting across from us on the plane, and you just see the color go out of the dad's face as he's like packing up the passports to put them back in his bag. And we're like, what's going on? They misspelled the one daughter's last name. No, it's a 4-letter last name.
But they were on the plane, though.
They were on the plane.
I think that'd be fine.
But so what's so funny is the only people that noticed, of course, was a gate agent because we had a connection, Charles de Gaulle. And at first they're like, oh, and they're like, well, you've gotten this far.
Right.
But I mean, like, like in a million years, because it was just such a slight change. Right. And I mean, it was their first time getting passports.
A mistake.
Never know.
Traveling. Guys, stay tuned to the end of the show. You're going to hear about my massive travel blunder at the end of the show. Stay tuned. I made a massive mistake Stay tuned.
And you'll find out what a good friend I am.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. So when I went to JFK, I saw the new Delta One Lounge at JFK.
Oh.
Barely could see it. It actually opened, I think it's opening tomorrow. So I
Mm-hmm.
barely missed it. So if you guys don't know, there, for at least with Delta, there's the regular Sky Clubs, which anybody can get in with like the Sky Club access, your credit card, whatever. And their competitors at United and American have had business class lounges at major hubs for some time. United has the Polaris Lounge, American has the Flagship Lounge. So it's like an elevated experience for those flying business class, lay flat seat, long haul international flights. Delta finally has upped their game, and they have one open in LAX, and they just are opening tomorrow. The one at JFK. This Delta One Lounge looks amazing. Now, even if you're not flying Delta One, you're going to be able to take advantage of this indirectly, because the regular lounges will be less crowded.
I almost wonder if that was more the solution than what they just did with their cards.
Yeah,
like that.
This lounge at JFK looks amazing. It's 2 stories. They're going to have an actual like full sit down restaurant. You can order, and it's going to be open from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. It looks massive. Now, here's a question: who can enter the lounge? First, if you're flying Delta One, easy. You can access.
So is it going to be Delta One International or just Delta One period? Because sometimes you have those Delta One flights that go to Hawaii.
Yeah. So even if it's, so you can be in a plane with the lay flat seat, but they call it basically if your boarding pass is purple, you get in.
Okay.
Okay. So if they call it Delta One, you get access. Delta 360 members get access. If they're on a first class ticket. Okay. So Delta 360.
So they're on the red.
If they have red. Now, this is what I was worried about, but they're going to allow partner airlines, people flying on partners in. So if you're on Air France Business or La Premiere, long haul, you get access. KLM Business, Korean first or prestige class. And if you're on Virgin Atlantic upper class, you get access to the Delta One Lounge.
I think that's exciting because, as we know, Virgin's upper class lounge at JFK's now the greatest. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's like what the offerings are like.
It's fine. It's fine.
But one of the things that's nice about that lounge too, I mean, kind of to highlight with this one having like a sit down restaurant, you order food and it's brought to you. It's not like buffet style. That's just kind of like a nice little like made to order.
So I wonder how many people are going to be flying Virgin and at the because if my London trip was like next week, I would be at the Delta One Lounge and not
100%. And it's just that nicer feature. I'm pretty sure that when I took my dad in the upper class Virgin Lounge, he invoked the spirit of Ken Jarvis because I like ordered some like kale quinoa salad thing and just the disgust.
Oh, right. Now, if you notice, what's not here are the Sky Team Elite Plus members. They still will go to the regular lounge. So if you're flying,
and I think that makes sense.
It does make sense. It absolutely makes sense.
I'm curious to see how the lounges are.
I'm too.
With this change.
So I need to make another trip to London on Virgin Upper Class to go check out the Delta One Lounge.
Just gonna have to do that.
Well, keeping in lounge, our friends at American are doing the same thing. They're opening a new Admirals Club, which is their like regular Sky Club, regular lounge, but they're also introducing a new Flagship Lounge. So Flagship is their Delta One, their business class product. So as lounges become overcrowded, I really welcome this trend of having a nicer lounge for those flying business. And I think it's only going to benefit everybody.
I think so. Because even my mother just this past week flew to Europe for the first time. She's on SAS, which is converting from Star Alliance to Sky Team as of September 1st. Interesting business setup because it's 2 sides, but it's 2-1-2-1-2 for business.
Oh, that is weird. Okay.
It's like I still have to like review some of the pictures and stuff that she took for me. But she's like, it was just so nice, you know, because they had a layover in Copenhagen
Okay.
to just have that business class lounge for SAS to be able to go. I think it was technically the Lufthansa, but like just to be able to go in,
No, it's nice.
have your space, have your breakfast, do your thing.
Well, keeping on lounges, our Sky Team partners, Air France, is opening a new lounge at LAX. Haley, I was shocked to learn between Air France and KLM, they have 7 flights a day out of LAX.
Yep, one of them goes to Tahiti. Don't ask me why I know I was peeking.
I Wow, I did not know that. So this lounge looks amazing. They're going to have French food. They're going to have facials, full bar.
So French. I mean, I will say the Air France lounge that I was in Charles de Gaulle, you know, like heading back home, that was nice.
So I've been to 2 at Charles de Gaulle. One was like 2 stories, glass everywhere. It was beautiful. And remember, I called you from that lounge. This was before I'd been to Paris, and I was like, "Well, I've been to Paris. Checked it off the list." Like,
and I just like side-eyed. And now that he's actually been to Paris, he's like,
I know. But I've been to another one, and like the Air France lounges are, this is actually a perfect segue to our next topic. We'll just kind of carry on. United is targeting Delta because United used to be known back in the day as like the it airline in America. Delta, through various partnerships, not the least of which is American Express, has really become the it airline. They're the most profitable airline in America. I mean, they have fewer flights than America, but have higher revenue than America. And they're becoming an airline. I shared an article on Facebook about how they are even like the preferred airline for a lot of like LGBT travelers. There's a whole reason about how Delta has positioned itself as the it airline. Like their sky clubs are nice. Like I remember I was in Atlanta with one of my team members, and they're top tier with American, and they were in a sky club. It was an okay, whatever sky club in Atlanta. It was nice. It was one that has the outdoor area. It's nice, but whatever. And they thought it was like, you thought they were in.
IVP is like that too. Like we
thought they were in like the Heathrow Centurion Lounge, right? I was like, oh, this is okay. I've been here like a dozen times. Whatever. So United's going after them. They do not want to give up their status as the airline. So, Haley, I chuckle because as someone who travels a lot, you know, all 3 of the American airlines, American, United, Delta, they're nothing compared to like the international ones.
No, and we've had this discussion. Like one of my favorite cabins I think that I've ever flown in thus far would be that premium cabin on Virgin Atlantic. Not even quite their business. The business is nice, but like we know that from JFK, that like barely 6-hour flight, like you don't get to really enjoy business. But that premium cabin, which is nice, like premium select on Delta, is a million times better.
It is.
Inclusions, service better, seats are better.
Actually, I flew to London in upper class, and I flew home in premium, both on the A330, the new Neo. Haley, the food was upgraded on Virgin. Like it was actually like, it wasn't as good as the business class, but it was better than the economy food. Like it was good.
Yeah, for the length of that flight, I'm like, all day.
It was great.
I think it's a great value.
They have a little snack area with like self-serve wine, self-serve like drinks. I mean, I love Virgin. I love it.
And one of the things I will say about that too is Virgin is, this is a slightly different knock, but in a way, is one of the only planes I've been in where I've seen a true full like handicap bathroom stall.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like Jeff literally came back to see, he's like, Haley, you need to go like use the bathroom right now. I need to and I'm like, Jeff, I don't have to go. He's like, you need to come look at the bathroom.
That's cool.
Like my husband and I are both like big people, and we could both stand in this bathroom. Like that's big.
No, I love it. So it's like, you know, like even when I was flying Virgin just now, Like, oh, I thought you were a Delta person. It's like, well, this is what Haley and I were talking about. Alliances, like, Sky
Mhm.
Team. Like, so that's why you'll see me on Air France or KLM or Korean Air or like,
And sometimes looking at those alliances, if you have a generic card like case in point here, like American Express card or something like that, there's a lot of airlines that you may not typically fly on that partner with your big three
yep,
airlines here in the States where the mileage conversion is better.
yep.
Like, Jason, can you typically book Delta One going to Europe from the States for 55,000 miles one way?
No, no.
And then with the transfer bonuses, so you might, and sometimes you can even through those partner airlines book Delta flights through
I've done it.
KLM and
I've
Virgin.
done it. Yeah. Yeah, no, I've done it. So interesting news about United. Now let's jump to cruise line news.
I'm going to tag on that one more
Oh,
time
yeah.
before we hop off on it. I think if they want to get more competitive with that, they need to fix their basic economy ticket.
And explain what you mean.
So their basic economy ticket out of the big three is the most restrictive, like
Okay.
restrictive on baggage. Like we're talking like you can bring a purse or a very small backpack. Like that's it.
What,
Delta, now you don't get like the earn.
people shouldn't bring more than that.
Oh, yeah. But like with Delta, like I know that the earn, what is it? You don't like earn the same rate on the basic. I'm
On
trying to,
basic economy, you don't earn any sky miles,
yeah.
any medallion. Like,
Which like again with basic, I can totally get behind. But you can at least like bring the normal luggage allotment. Like it's really not. United's is extremely tight. I've seen my brother kind of fall prey to that at one point in time. But they have the most restrictive basic.
but this goes back to what we talked about a couple months ago with the Secretary Buttigieg and the transportation department wanting to make it transparent when you're booking what's included, what's not included. Like, yes, you can book this ticket, but just so you know, your baggage fee will be X when you show up to the airport. Because look, traveling is a skill. How many people don't know they have to pay to check a bag unless you're flying like Southwest? Like, how many people know that? I mean, people probably don't know when they're at the airport.
Oh, you and I talk about like we forget how subjective we are on the topics. Like even with my mom going to Europe, I'm just like, yeah, of course, mom.
Right, right. Look, traveling is a skill. You get better. And look, the point of the show and our passion is to share some of our knowledge, experience, tips with you, so you guys don't make the same mistakes that Haley and I have made.
Ugh,
So we'll talk about my mistake in a second. Let's jump to
I can't
cruise
wait.
line news briefly. So right now, Royal Caribbean and Celebrity are both having their President's Cruise right now. They both announced their 2025 President's Cruise is. That's right grammar? President's
Yes,
Cruise is. Royal Caribbean is going to be Utopia in September, doing a 4-night Bahamas Perfect Day Coco Cay. Celebrity's doing in May on Celebrity Apex to the Norwegian fjords. So I've got group rates on both of them, and my email and inbox are dinging like crazy. So I will be booking both of these cruises all day today.
That fjords one sounds so nice.
That one sounds great. Okay.
So
Should we start with my mistake first?
yes, I think we should just address that and get it out of the way. Paint the picture though.
So I'm at the Sky Club. We're boarding. I'm zipping out my belongings to get in my wallet to tip the bartender at the Sky Club. I realized I do not have my wallet.
Dun dun dun.
So I call Haley and she's like, hey, I was like, Haley, I need you to focus. She was like, okay. I said, I don't have my wallet. I'm at Passport. I have Apple Pay.
And I'm headed on my flight to JFK.
I'm headed on my flight. I'm literally walking on the plane. I'll skip to the end. It worked out fine. London, luckily, everywhere takes Apple Pay. Everywhere's contactless. I did not have £1, $1 on me, but it worked out. And none of the ATMs there or the tap to pay like they are in America, like they are in the rest of Europe. It's shocked I could not get out cash anywhere. Worked out fine. double check every wallet. So that was me making
So
a.
I have to ask you, so do you have a separate, do you put your passport in a passport holder?
I do. I have a passport holder. Yeah.
So I have a combo. I have a specific travel wallet that has the insert, like it's a square.
Yeah,
That,
I just swear, and believe it or not, it has room for credit cards, and maybe that's what I should do in the
well,
future.
this one has like, it is not at my desk right now, and it should be. Okay. But it has like actually like I think like 8 slots, and then it has like an ID slot from like my global entry card. It's got another pocket. It opens up at the top for cash.
Right.
And
So
I got the one that has a buckle so it doesn't easily open and my
that's
stuff
nice.
falls out.
That's nice. But I made it. I am shocked. I made it. The hotel took Apple Pay to check in.
Which
Pay
is
got
not
left.
always common. So I'm going to throw in and preface this because one of the things that we discussed that you were concerned about, like, what about when I get to the hotel
Yeah.
and they need to auth my card for incidentals? Now, the thing is to preface, not every hotel can do this.
Right.
It's all very situational. But the solution that I offered and we came up with is I was like, call the hotel, A, ask, see if we have to like worry for nothing. I'm like, B, if worst comes to worst, have them email you a credit card authorization form. Like, I'll fill it out with my American Express card, authorize it, send it back. I know Jason's good for the money if it
Yeah,
can.
I would trust me. I would. A Lannister in a pool pays its debts, right? So, well, I went to London for 4 nights, and guys, so I kind of had an epiphany when I was in London. I was there for 4 nights. You guys saw my Instagram stories on my Facebook. I might have posted 1 or 2 stories to Instagram. Um, so I had a lot of friends text me like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you went to London for 4 nights. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy." And Wendy Lee's watching, so I'm going to call her out briefly. She even said on Facebook, like, "I want to be you in your next life," right? So I started thinking about this, and I was like, guys, I really want our friends, our viewers, my clients to embrace long weekends in Europe. Getting to London from any hub in America is not that long of a flight.
On
Okay.
this list.
And if people will spend a long weekend in New York City, people spend a long weekend in Florida, people spend a long weekend in LA or Las Vegas. Going to Europe, especially those Western Europe cities, your Barcelonas, your Paris, your London,
Lisbon.
Dublin, like Lisbon, those are not that far from America, right?
Yeah, when you're on the west part of Europe from East Coast, that's only a 5 hour
Right.
time
Right.
difference. And if
I
you think
spent,
like California's 3,
right.
Alaska's 4.
And hell, if you live on like
If you're an
in
East Coast.
Seattle, you go up and you make it to Europe in no time, like no time.
Mhm.
So it was more of like I had friends who are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you've gone. I've always wanted to go to Europe." And there is this mindset that people think to go to Europe, especially for the first time, or to a city or a country for the first time, they have to go spend 10 nights, 14 nights. And guys, I just want to tell you that is not the case.
Yeah, I've spent 5 nights in Rome before when I've gone for
Right.
work.
I've been to London 3 times now. 1 night, 4 nights, and 4 nights. I love it. Would I like to spend more time there? Of course I would, but my schedule wouldn't allow it. So I'm glad I've done those 3 trips versus saying, "Oh no, I can't go to London unless I spend 10 days there."
Well, and then not to mention also when we use those tools like Google Flights, Kayaks Flights, the Seats.Aero website, you can find very inexpensive ticket
You can.
to Europe. It doesn't even matter loyalty. Like there's even some of the more like economy style lines, like what is it, Nord? Nord is one.
Right. And I mean, even Iceland Air has
Norse,
one
pardon me.
if you do the layover, like, I mean, there's lots of ways you can do it. So, you know, sometimes people will spend more money doing like, let's go to Charleston for the weekend, or let's go to Savannah, or let's go to Hilton Head. And it's
Well, I
like,
mean, even sometimes 3 and 4 night cruises to the Bahamas, the Caribbean,
yeah, right.
depending. I mean, people were just still so flabbergasted when us and that family went to Europe for spring break.
Right.
And we've kind of been doing that route now for a couple of years. And they're like, oh, I'd love to do it. And it's like, I saved money
Oh,
doing that. Because, I mean, spring break to fly to Florida, which, is a 2.5 hour flight, sometimes 3, depending where up here. During those break weeks, it's anywhere from $700 to $1,000+ a ticket.
absolutely. And then once you're there, if you take the underground, like it's like London's so easy. It's very affordable, especially public transit. I mean, I was paying £2 to £3 per like trip to get all over London.
Mm-hmm. Same
So
with Paris Metro. Like,
I think,
it's extremely inexpensive.
right. So
Once you're there, and then there's so much, just walking around
oh no.
is a treat. Be it Rome, Paris, London, just being there and existing there is part of the satisfaction.
No, I agree. And I like what Wendy said. She goes, now's the time to go to Berlin. I see the Berlin Philharmonic. Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, I have gone to Barcelona for a night or two, gone to an opera. Actually, a year ago yesterday, I was in Rome. I remember calling Haley in Rome and saying, Haley,
Rome Opera House is so pretty.
I was like, there's an opera here tonight. I think I'm just going to go. And it's like, I swear it is less expensive than you think. And don't take, what's that saying? The enemy of good is perfect. Don't think because I can't go for 2 weeks, I can't go. So that's kind of the unofficial tip of the day. Embrace the long weekends. I promise you will not regret it. And look, if you need to go see, there's this little girl from Pennsylvania, who is still hopping around Europe. I think she's going to be big one day, Haley.
By little, he means 5'10".
So, also on a personal note, guys, thank you so much for watching. I know I was spamming everybody while I was seeing Haley and I's girl, Tay Tay. And thank you for indulging me with posting a lot. So
no problem. But we do have another tip of the day on top of that.
I thought this was good. So the State Department said there's not enough people using the global entry alternative. Haley and I are big fans of global entry. Used it yesterday at JFK. Literally 0 line, like 0 line. Global entry is amazing. If you don't have it, you should get it. But let's say you don't have it. Let's say you're still waiting for your application to be processed. You're waiting for the interview, or you just can't get global entry for, whatever reason. There are other options to expedite your return into the country. And the biggest one is the mobile passport app. Now, full disclosure, I've never used it.
I've used it.
I was about to say, so I'm going to stop talking, let Haley discuss why this is a good alternative for those who don't have global entry.
So again, it's been a hot minute. I haven't used it probably since 2018, but, it's for a certain list of airports, which are generally hubs when you're coming back into the country. You can fill out with your flight number, your information, you submit it, and there's usually just a separate line for, I keep on saying global entry, for mobile passport. It's more expedited. You show them the thing on your phone. Very, very similar. It's stuff that Jeff has had to do for a while here because Olivia and I have global entry. I will throw a kick in there. One downside is sometimes that line is not open.
Oh, okay.
And we have seen that because I will tell you it happened when we were flying back from Paris, maybe. We flew into Boston. And Olivia and I got right through with global entry, like easy peasy. Jeff was, because they shut down one line, merged it in. It definitely is like one of the first to get cut and merged. He's probably in line for like an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah. So
it was a little rough.
Right. But it's a good alternative if you don't have global entry and you hope the line is open.
And you guys, there's a variety of reasons why you can get declined for mobile entry. Like, we all do young dumb stuff. If you have a DWI, DUI, even if it was 10+ years ago, you can get denied for global
Right.
entry based on some of those reasons alone. In some countries, like Canada, for example, here, if you have one of those, you can't cross the border technically. You either have to pay to have it reduced and send it to the king. I always say the queen because that's what the verbiage was for such a long time. Or you just can't go.
Right. Right. Which is why this is a tip of the day, but this is something I learned at DTM from the Australian Tourism Board. Before you plan your Australian trip, apply for the visa. It's only like $10 or so. It's very inexpensive. And it's good for, I don't know, it's good for a long time. So apply for the Australian visa. If it's declined, you just kind of stop your trip planning. That way you don't book non-refundable flights, non-refundable cruise, and your visa gets declined. So something like Australia, it's good to apply for the visa first. So
yeah. And remember, I know that Delta has this. They have a really good website, part of their website where you can go plug in where you're flying from.
it's like that Fly Ready system. Yeah.
That Fly Ready, and it'll tell you what's required for that destination, if it's visa, blah, 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 blah.
Right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining for us today in travel. We talked all about airlines today. And also, again, on a personal note, thank you so much for following my London adventures. I had a wonderful time, a little sleep deprived, but off to work I go. Well, Haley, thank you so much. And we'll be back next week.